Alright, it's Maiq redacted. There are only a few questlines with choices in Skyrim that actually matter. Todd gets nervous at the thought of player freedom. None of these questlines are more contentious than the Civil War. Some players will tell you that you're dumb to choose anything other than Stormcloaks because the Imperials just tried to cut off your head. Other players will tell you that Ulfric's Stormcloak is nothing more than a Thalmor spy who will foster an age of instability within Skyrim, which will only strengthen the Thalmor's position within Skyrim and ultimately the Empire, thus increasing the power of the Aldemiri Dominion. Today though, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to find out who the ideal choice for the Civil War is, and who are the good guys. I won't be doing any in-depth research, but don't worry, you're in safe hands. I don't need to do any research since I've been playing Skyrim since you were in your dad's balls. If you have any problem, or if I got anything wrong lore wise in the video, please leave a comment down in the completely unmoderated comment section below. And for this video, I will not be considering the option to broker a peace between the two factions using the Greybeards, because that's just not fun, and it may be a sensible compromise, but this certainly is not a place for sensible compromises. We need black and white answers. And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. I think it's important to look at the faction from the outside, because no one wants to join a faction when everyone thinks that the members are all cringe losers. From the outside, both of the factions are trying to give off this Chad energy. They both try and present themselves as noble and brave, true warriors, but unfortunately this can't be further from the truth. From the outside, it appears that both factions are full of milk drinkers who run their mouth but piss their pants at the first sign of trouble. On one side, the leader of the Stormcloaks, Ulfric, couldn't even win a fight against the High King without bending the rules and using his dragon shouts. And on the other side, the Imperials got beat by a bunch of pipe cleaner armed mages and needed to renounce one of their gods. You learn both of these facts and then you're told that you need to join one of these idiot sides in order to resolve this civil war. Looking at more visual things, both of the causes have armour, which is okay. Aesthetically, there's much better looking apparel in the game, such as the ragged robes, but luckily, as you are the main character and therefore the centre of the universe, you do not need to wear the armour of the faction that you choose to be a part of. But if I was forced to pick which faction had the better armour, I'd probably go for the Imperial Legion, purely on the basis that you can choose which type of armour you can get: heavy armour, medium armour, light armour, whereas with the Stormcloaks you only have the choice of light armour available. At the end of the day, I do actually need to choose which one of these factions looks better from the outside, and whilst the fact is that they both look like crap, I do need to make some distinction and say that one's better than the other. Areas which are ruled over by the Stormcloaks seem to have leaders that make the fact that they're Stormcloaks and don't like the Empire their whole fucking personality. The leaders of areas which are ruled over by the Imperials don't really seem to make as much a fuss about it. They just kind of keep it to themselves, maybe not keep it to themselves, but they say less. I think this, and the fact that all the Stormcloak people tell me that Skyrim belongs to the Mords, makes the Imperials a less annoying faction. Don't get me wrong, they're still very annoying, but they seem to just give off a little bit less of that virgin simper energy than the Stormcloaks do.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver.
This video is brought to you by Maiq's Premium Skooma. Are you depressed? Do you feel like you just can't run fast enough? Or are you one of the thousands of citizens who just doesn't have enough stamina anymore? Well, I have great news for you. Maiq's Premium Skooma could be the answer for all of your problems. Gone are your problems with depression, as the bouts of euphoria will leave you with a smile on your face. No more will you long to be able to run faster, as the speed increasing properties will let you win any foot race. And your wife will finally be satisfied, as you have more than enough stamina to see you through the night. And because of Maiq's unique formula, you can now drink it, smoke it, or even snort it. There truly is a skooma for every occasion. And I'm absolutely ecstatic to be able to bring you this one-time offer of your first hit for completely free. That's right, your first addicting hit of skooma is absolutely on the house. So text Maiq the unique code ALRIGHTMATE, Maiq Redacted gave me your number, and after a score could you sort us out to redeem this limited time offer. And now back to the video. The questline of the Imperial Legion and the Stormcloaks are very similar. I think they would be better if they had more separation between them, but they're more or less the same. You'd think that the rebel forces like the Stormcloak would focus on things like ambushing Legion supply carts or conducting hit and run attacks. But these common successful guerrilla tactics seem absent from the missions in the game. It seems like no one at Bethesda has done any research into basic military tactics when writing these questlines, which involve military tactics. I guess books are scary when they don't have pictures in them. On the flip side, missions like running supplies, defending checkpoints, or conducting home searches on people who are suspicious could have been interesting premises for quests for the Imperial Legion, but that's too much. Barring a few quests, like the quest to join each faction and the one where you either siege or defend Whiterun, the quest lines are shockingly similar. They basically all happen like this. You go to an area where the enemy faction is in control, you do a side quest which sounds like it could have an interesting premise, but ends up being dumb with shockingly little depth, and then you retake a fort. Rinse and repeat this process a half dozen times, and then you go and kill the leader of the other faction. Both Civil War quest lines are really leaning heavily on the attacking forts.
Your objective is Fort Dunstad. Your objective is Fort Greenwall. Your objective is Fort Kostov. Your objective is the enemy-held fort.
If only it was actually interesting after the first 2 times you do it. The only quest in either of these quest lines that's worth playing is honestly the siege quest, and that quest alone is worth playing on both sides as it's actually quite interesting and different. I don't think there's any clear winner in this section between the 2 factions quest lines. Maybe it's Todd Howard's bank balance which is the real winner here. I think it's quite important to examine what Skyrim would be like in the short to mid term if either faction won. If the Imperial Legion won, Skyrim would most likely return to some sort of normal which is similar to the current status quo. Perhaps this win would embolden the Imperials to have another crack at overthrowing the Aldemiri Dominion and getting closer to the goal of reinstating Talos as a god. Maybe not an outwards goal, but I'm sure they would do it if they actually managed to overthrow the Aldemiri Dominion. I feel like if the Stormcloaks won, it'd kinda be like when the Taliban won in Afghanistan after 20 years of fighting. They win and then they think, now what? It turns out that fighting a war is much more fun than actually running the country that you fought for after you win. I heard reports that Taliban fighters actually miss the war and dislike their mundane lives that they have afterwards now. I think that Skyrim seceding from the Empire would probably destabilise the rest of Tamriel further than it already is, if that's even possible. The Empire, already shattered after the war with the Aldemiri Dominion, probably wouldn't survive. Really, the Empire would just be Cyrodiil at this point anyway. To close up the video, I thought we would have a 100% honest critique of both the leaders of the factions. This is possibly the only honest part of this video, to be honest. Ulfric Stormcloak is a guy who pretends to be this great warrior, and he couldn't even win a fight against the High King. Without basically cheating, at least, by using a dragon shout. Obviously he's allowed to challenge the High King to a duel as is Nord tradition, but a duel is meant to be 2 warriors who meet on equal footing and fight to the death to see who the better warrior is. It's not a test of who has the strongest party trick. People are debating whether the dragon shout should have been allowed or not, but I propose this. Ulfric himself says, "Oh no, I didn't kill him with the shout, I finished him with my sword."
However, it was my sword piercing his heart that killed him.
If Ulfric is making the distinction that the shout is not what killed him in the first place, then it shouldn't have been allowed in the fight, and he knows that any move that you use in a duel should be eligible to be the finishing move which defeats your opponent. If Ulfric is saying that the sword strike was the thing that killed him as to appear honourable, then he knows that the shout he used was a dishonourable act and thus an unallowed move in the duel. If High King Torug had been a master of conjuration and had conjured in some insane beast to knock over Ulfric before finishing him with the sword, then everyone would rightly assume that the High King had cheated. How is pulling Fusro die out your back pocket any different to that? On top of this, Ulfric is the ultimate pseudo-intellectual. He sits here in his castle pontificating about stuff he knows jack shit about, saying things which are obvious, and he says them like they're fucking profound. When you finally kill him, he turns out to be a weakling. General Tullius is what happens when the Empire puts all its military budget into dramatic execution ceremonies and absolutely none into charisma or brains. If Tullius had just insisted that Ulfric was executed first, this war would already be over. He struts around in that shiny red armour, acting like he's got everything under control. Meanwhile, half of Skyrim is on fire and the other half is screaming about Talos. This is a man who is so disinterested in Skyrim that he literally has to be reminded which Jarl is in charge of which city. Let's not pretend he's some great strategist. His entire war plan is almost the human wave. Send troops to the forts, get them all killed, and then ask the Dragonborn to do it instead. Half the time, he talks like he's doing Skyrim a favour just by being there, which is wild considering he got stationed in the coldest, most uncooperative province in the Empire and now acts that he's surprised that no one wants to help him. And you can tell Tullius is the kind of general who gets his soldiers killed with stupid decisions and then gives speeches about necessary sacrifice. All whilst he's sleeping in a warm bed in solitude with a copy of Lusty Argonian Maid and not freezing his nuts off like the soldiers that he puts in all the camps, which are located in basically the middle of nowhere. He keeps saying he's only following orders, which is exactly what you want from the guy in charge of military occupations. And historically speaking, only following orders has never gone badly, right? And when you finally face him, he folds like cheap linen. One second he's running about with his sword, and the next second he's on the floor doing his best JFK impression. Skyrim is burning, and this guy is treating it like it's an annoying assignment that he got stuck with right before he could retire. And this isn't even to mention how the Falmer have him biting the pillow because they're going in dry. He may not like it, but he does follow their orders like the good little lapdog that he is. Whilst both factions are questionable at best, I'll ultimately think that the Imperial Legion is better than the Stormcloaks. This is despite them trying to cut your head off at the beginning of the game. The reasons that I think the Imperial Legion is better is because you don't have to be a Nord to join it and for it to actually make sense. I joined the Stormcloaks as a Dark Elf and no one mentioned it, but I did feel like I was giving off some serious Uncle Ruckus energy and that it was the elephant in the room.
Hey, maybe the reason these Greyskins don't help in the war is because they're Imperial spies.
I, for one, would not care to dance for the amusement of those foul elves.
General Tullius is genuinely less irritating than Ulfric Stormcloak as well. At one point in the questline, Legate Ricca says, "Praise Talos," or something similar to that in the earshot of General Tullius, but Tullius just kind of dismisses it with a flippant remark to remind Ricca that she can't be seen to worship Talos.
Talos be with you.
What was that, Legate?
Nothing. Just saying goodbye.
He could most likely have had Ricca stripped of her rank and possibly even executed for Talos worship, but he doesn't do that. This short interaction tells me that despite being outwardly against Talos worship, it's something that he's willing to bend the rules over if he has the chance to. He understands how important Talos worship is to the Nords, and when he's in charge of Skyrim, he would tolerate the Nord people worshipping Talos quietly. This is way more merciful a position than Ulfric would have for his enemies' beliefs. Despite all of General Tullius' flaws, his military incompetence, his apparent ignorance to Nord cultures and practices, he seems to have the ability to show mercy and look the other way. Plus, General Tullius is also a 5'3" manlet old man, which makes him easier to overpower should the need arise. Both factions have similar storylines, both factions are ultimately controlled by the Thalmor, whether it be in secret or not. Plus, when you join the Imperial Legion, you aren't forced to wear light armour, you have a choice in armours, and so all these things kind of contribute to making the Imperial Legion just that bit better. Let me know in the comment section down below if you agree with this, and as always, if you like this video, please leave a comment, like, and consider subscribing.